I'm joined with Pat Brennan, a legislator from Oneida County and a member of the NYSAC Blue Ribbon Task Force on the future of New York farming. Pat, thank you for coming today. As a former state official, state commissioner of agriculture and markets, you held a very important position in New York State government, which oversaw or regulated the farm industry. How do you see things today as opposed to where they were when you were commissioner? Where do you see the future of the New York farmer?
Thanks, Steve. Before we answer that question directly, I just want to thank you and certainly the leadership here at NYSAC for understanding and believing in the importance of coordinating this committee that we're here for today to meet, the Blue Ribbon Task Force on Farming. Back when I was agricultural commissioner, certainly I was incredibly proud and honored as the son of a dairy farmer from Oneida County to serve in that capacity under the leadership of Governor Pataki. I saw my role as the Commissioner of Agriculture not only as certainly the face of agriculture within the administration, but more importantly, understanding the balance between consumer confidence, and we assured consumer confidence through the regulatory actions of our department. But also, unlike many other state agencies, the Department of Agriculture and Markets had a charge of marketing all foods that are produced and processed here in New York State.
We're going to hear today at this task force how difficult it was for a local Albany County caterer to access locally grown products, cheese, meats, onions, produce. Why is it so difficult for local small businesses to access New York products directly?
During my experience working in state government, we recognized at the state level that there were a number of buy local or locally grown initiatives throughout New York State. And it was during our time in office here in Albany that the Pride New York program was developed and continues to be a benefit, I think, because it provides a focal point and technical assistance and expertise for those local initiatives that we see throughout New York State. We never saw ourselves as the states are planning any of those local initiatives. We saw it rather as an opportunity to enhance those already long-standing traditional organizations throughout New York State.
What type of contribution does New York State's farmers make to both the state and local economies? And why is that important for our state, our counties, and our communities?
Well, Steve, the Oneida County Legislature, which I'm very proud to say we developed a Agricultural and Rural Development Committee for the first time in our county's history. I chair that committee in the legislature. We had our first meeting last Wednesday afternoon. There really was a great deal of excitement in the room because for the first time we were able to bring all of agricultural infrastructure in the county and provided a focal point not only for policy development but also budgetary concerns and challenges and opportunities as well. I think it's incredibly important to provide the industry that sort of opportunity for communication, much like you do here and much like you're going to continue to do certainly at the conclusion of today's task force meeting.
Why should New Yorkers care, the people who may see this presentation? Why should they care about the family farm, the working farm in New York State?
New Yorkers should care simply because they support agriculture, whether they know it or not, at least 3 times a day when they prepare meals for their families, when they go to the grocery store. Our regulatory policies here in New York State provide our consumers confidence when they go to that grocery store that they are purchasing and preparing and putting on the table the safest food, the safest meals for their families. That can't be said throughout the world. Certainly it can be said here in New York and in the United States. And with respect to an earlier question, Steve, what do I see in terms of the future of agriculture and perhaps equally important, what is the current atmosphere? When you look at the dairy industry, which includes over 2/3 of our total gross receipts, and you see the economic challenges that our dairy industry faced in 2009 where they didn't cash flow a single month. Farmers are extremely hopeful and optimistic people, and certainly when the calendar turned on January 1st of 2010, I think a number of farmers were relieved that 2009 was behind them and their businesses, particularly or specifically for dairy. We saw the price come up a little bit in January and February, still well below cost of production. Futures markets don't indicate that we're going to see a big uptick in farm prices, at least through this first full third of 2010. That has me concerned. It should have elected officials concerned. More importantly, it should have our consumers concerned. Every time that we lose a farm in New York State, we lose a small business. I was always perplexed, if you will, that any other time a company would have challenges, certainly there would be a level of encouragement from elected officials and our economic development experts throughout New York State to rally around and see what we could do immediately to save those jobs. And that's critical. That's a critical function. I hope in the near term that we're able to see that same sort of coordination around what is happening right now within the agricultural industry. It has certainly great concern on my part.
Thank you. Oneida County Legislator Pat Brennan, former Commissioner of the New York State Department of Agriculture and Markets, and a member of the NYSAC Blue Ribbon Task Force on the Future of the New York Farmer. Thank you.